Hi, welcome back to CSS Tips and Tricks. This is Season 2. We're going to go over today how to include style sheets into your HTML and the best way to do that and different ways of doing that. But first, we're going to go over our sponsors that we have for Season 2. So this is our first time having sponsors. We have Vimeo and we have GitHub. But first, let's talk about Vimeo. We have right here, it's an awesome website. It's for uploading your videos to the web and in HD for that matter. They've been just ahead of YouTube this whole time. They keep adding features that are just amazing. And I hear they have a pretty cool update coming real soon. But having HD videos of my podcast has been great because everyone can see the text in my videos that I'm using with TextMate really clear. And it's just easier for the user to read and follow along. Now, you can get the Plus plan, and you get tons of extra features. You get 5 gigs of video uploading. You have unlimited HD video uploading. Just tons of great stuff to give you stats on your video plays. Just very incredible stuff. Like I said, just ahead of YouTube, I feel, in every way, and just a very beautiful design. The guys and girls at Vimeo are just incredible. Also, we have to talk about GitHub. GitHub is a Git repository hosting website. This is where you would, if you use Git, a version control system, look into it. It's open source. It's a great way to keep track of your projects. But if you do get into Git and you need hosting for it, use GitHub. GitHub is pretty much the standard for Git repository hosting. It's absolutely amazing. Their plans are fairly cheap. You get for $6 a month, you get 5 private repositories and unlimited public repositories, and they have free accounts too. If you get a free account, you just get public repository hosting, which is cool if you're starting an open source project. A lot of open source projects don't make a lot of money, so they give you that for free, so you can host your or have a central place to host your projects, which is really cool. And here's one of my public repositories: is my CSS TextMate bundle. I've been adding CSS snippets and more functionality to TextMate. But it's just really cool that I can have my CSS TextMate bundle here and have other people check it out and add to it as we go. So that's GitHub. GitHub, like I said, just check it out. Just github.com. And Vimeo, go to vimeo.com, Vimeo.com. And both are incredible servers. I could talk about them all day, but let's get on with the podcast. So what I have here is your pretty standard link style sheet include into your HTML. This is what a lot of you are used to. The other way of adding CSS to your site, and which is a great way for development, is to say style. I'm just using TextMate shortcuts here. And we're going to say type is text /CSS and media is screen. Now, to explain media can be projection, screen, printing, or print rather, and a whole bunch of other different things, but those are the main ones, or all. So you could also say all, and it would cover everything. So you could also, add your CSS in here, but you would never want to do that on a production site because that could get really messy really fast. And especially if you have more than one web page, that'd be next to useless because you'd have to copy the styles over to every page, and that would be a pain. Which kind of brings me to my next point. If you use this method and say you have, 4 style sheets and you decide to add a 5th one, well, if you have 10 pages of a static site, that's 10 pages that you have to go to and add another line to. So not everyone is using a framework or CMS right now, and that's okay. And, static sites don't need that. But say you want to add another style sheet, that could be a pain in the butt. So what I have done here is I include just one. So this would be, built into all my pages, all my static pages already. I have my screen.css and I have my media set to all. And so now when I go to my screen.css file, you can see I'm actually importing 2 more style sheets. So I have my global.css, which this is what's styling the site basically. And I have my lightbox.css, which is that cool effect we saw in last week's podcast where the videos pop up. And so now if we needed to add another one, we could just say and we could say import, and we'll call our CSS file. So we'll say it's our video. we have video on our site, and now we just have to select one of the media types that we want to use. We could say all, and then we'll just tab over, get rid of that. Now let's add another one. So I just can show you how this works again. Now this at tab, if you're using TextMate, this is part of what I've been building into TextMate with my CSS bundle. Is you can say just at and hit tab, and then you get these two options, and I can say import, and we'll make this one a print CSS file, and now we'll also select the media type of print. And now I can tab and we'll say, you know what? We also want it for screen. So we can go back here and just say screen. And so that would load both when you're printing your web page or if you're viewing on a screen. A screen is like a computer. So that's how that works. But let's get rid of that. And we'll just use that for print just for explaining that. And we don't want our video CSS to show up in our print, so we'll just say that screen. And so you can adjust it like that. Now, a popular thing to do, at import does not work with IE 6 or 7, which is kind of a pain sometimes. So even though this is a great method for importing your style sheets into your site, it can sometimes cause problems. So we'll just go ahead and say that. And as I was showing you before, we just wrote all our CSS in our global, and then that gets all included with this one screen.css file. So that's how you do that. Now we're going to talk a little about ordering. When you're ordering something, it's going to, let's say we just have our global.css file here. And in our global.css, we have gallery, margin, 5 EMs, and auto. So we're just going to take a look at that one line. So say we had another one. We'll say at import again. We'll just say global 2 for some reason. Okay, so say we had that, and then in that global 2 file, we put margin 2 auto instead of margin 5, then this would overwrite what this one says. So the last one overwrites the previous one. So this is important to keep in mind. Now, you can always put order of importance back into your CSS. So say we were working back in our first global.css file like we are, and you couldn't figure out why it was doing that. Now, you'd obviously want to try and fix that in the other style sheet, but you could also do exclamation mark, and then say important. What that will do is that will override any style that was previously or after set onto your page, and will make this the most important one. So this is the one that will get read finally onto your site. Now this is okay if you need to overwrite styles that you can't control, but if you can control them, it's best to try and avoid that and find where the real problem is. Now, say we want to apply fixes for IE6. You can there's a special comment rule that you can put in here. I don't know exactly what it is offhand, but I believe it's something similar to this. And you can put a style sheet in here. And we can call that our IE CSS file. Now, I'm pretty sure that's not the right syntax, but if you download the source files to this tutorial later, I'll make sure it's the right syntax in there. But you can get the idea. So now this is going to block all the other browsers from reading the IE style sheet. But now when you load this page into IE, it's going to load this commented out page or commented out CSS file, since it's going to ignore these comment lines. So I'll just go ahead and load that in there. So this is a great way to not dirty up your previous CSS files, you can just add a specific IE CSS file after that. So that's all I'm going to talk about today about ordering and CSS files and how to add them in. We'll probably go into it a little bit more in the future, but just not have a whole podcast dedicated to it like this. So I hope you enjoyed our start of season 2, and I'll see everyone next week.